Hey there! Here we will take a look at polyatomic ions, how to name them, how to form them. So polyatomic ions are ions, so they do have a charge, that are made up of several different atoms. For example, you may have heard of phosphate. Phosphate, which is written like this, PO4, and it does have a charge. Phosphate is made up of 1 phosphorus and 4 oxygen atoms. As a phosphate, it can act as a nonmetal that wants to gain electrons from some other metal because it does have this negative charge. It's an anion, and the type of ion that phosphate makes is it wants to gain electrons. Polyatomic ions are made up of nonmetals and semimetals. As you can see here, phosphorus is a type of nonmetal, and oxygen is also a type of nonmetal. And most have a negative charge, so are usually anions, but some can have a positive charge like ammonium. Ammonium is NH4+, and hydronium, which is H3O+, these are going to be cations. So ammonium and hydronium are also examples of polyatomic ions. When an ionic compound is formed with a polyatomic ion, the naming rule is just saying the name of the metal followed by the polyatomic ion name. So, for example, if we are going to work with a compound like this, this is called sodium carbonate because we have sodium, and this right here is a carbonate. To make an ionic compound formula, the same rule applies as before. Just treat the polyatomic ion as its own entity. For example, to make a sodium phosphate, we're going to try to do that. To make a sodium phosphate, we're going to take the sodium and we're going to take the phosphate, and you can search up if you're not sure what the polyatomic ion, the formula for it is, you can find those in a table. As an ion, Na is going to become Na plus because it wants to lose 1 electron, as we can see on the periodic table. It's over here, so it wants to get rid of 1 electron. While the phosphate, we can look up on a table, is going to have an ion like this, and so it wants to gain 3 electrons. Now, to find how many sodiums versus how many phosphates are needed to have an overall 0 charge, we can see the same way as before with any ionic compound. The main rule is that the final compound has to have a 0 charge. So what we can do is we can have 3 of that positive 1 from the sodium plus 1 of the negative 3 from the phosphate, and then 3 minus 3 equals 0. The chemical formula for sodium phosphate is going to be then Na3PO4. So we have 3 of the sodiums and we have 1 of the phosphate.